Hello, this video is being made for one of my viewers, Fare88, or Fair88, or Far88. I have no idea how to say your name, sir, or madam, but this video is one of two for you. In this video, we'll be talking about the Chrono Trigger sequel we deserved but didn't get from Squaresoft. And you'll be surprised by what it is. It is not Chrono Cross, and it wasn't even made by Squaresoft. But when it comes to a game about manipulating events in time in order to change future events that happen over the course of over a period of time, this game does it, and does it right. So without further ado, let's get into it. But first, the cut. Okay then, let's get down into it. Now, what is the title of this wonderful game? Well, I'll just let the trailer speak for itself right about now. Yes. The name of the game is Radiant Historia. Now, this game is really good. It has everything you've ever wanted in what you would want in a Chrono Trigger sequel. And I'll get into the specifics after the cut. Okay then, so as the title placard says, this is the gameplay and story section, so let's get into it. Now, the story of Radiant Historia is basically there are these two empires, these two superpowers fighting against each other for limited resources. The world is falling apart. A massive desert is expanding. The amount of arable land is dwindling. People are starving. And these two powers, instead of putting their differences aside and trying to come up with a solution, are fighting each other for the little bit of resources left. Into this comes your main character, whose name is Stock, and he is a soldier, and he's actually a pretty damn good one. He is sent on an assignment along with two other characters who will become very important later on in the game by his commander, who's a creepy looking dude. And something happens and he dies, and his soldiers under him that he is commanding die too. And he has an apoplectic fit. He's like, it can't end here. And some shit goes down, and he gains the power of the White Historia, or should I say White Chronicle. The White Chronicle is basically it's a set of two books, the White Chronicle and the Black Chronicle. The White Chronicle is the way history, people think history should be, and the Black Chronicle is the way history is. It's like the best outcome versus the worst outcome. And as the game goes along, you will basically travel around both of these paths initially in order to change events, get valuable items from one historical timeline in order to fix another historical timeline. But here's the kicker of the game, and here's the neat prospect. Both of these timelines are not actually the true history, the true chronicle of the way the world is supposed to be. In order for you to get the best ending of the game, you have to complete both chronicles, and what winds up happening is that you unlock the true chronicle, which is basically the true history of what's going on and where you want things to be. You essentially have to deal with what's going on in the past, way in the past, and you also have to go and fix things that are happening way in the past and all the way up to the future. So it's a very it's got that Chrono Trigger feel to it, but it's very concentrated. You're not dealing with a massive world in those regards. Instead, you're dealing with individual people, and things that you do with individual people matter. So there's a portion in the game where you're running away from these soldiers who ambush you, and essentially there's this cave that you can hide in that has this dead guy in there. Now, if you go into the other timeline, you can save that guy, and he goes back to his family, and his wife isn't sad in that timeline, and his kids aren't fatherless and stuff like that. But in the other timeline, you can raid his dead body and get some neat gear. So it's kind of like, it has that Chrono Trigger vibe to it, where you could go into the future and open a treasure chest, then go into the next in the time period before that time period and open it again, and so on and so forth, and like open a treasure chest 3 or 4 times, once in the far future, once in the present, once in the past. It's kind of like that. It has a very Chrono Trigger-esque vibe to it. Now, the gameplay is top-notch. It's beautiful. The cool thing about Radiant Historia's gameplay is that your main character, well, not that your main character. The cool thing about it is that it's a very different type of turn-based system. Essentially speaking, you can have up to 5 characters on a 3x3 grid. Your enemies are on a 3x3 grid, and you fight each other. Your 3x3 grids, your character placement against another 3x3 grid with your character placement. And basically, you have attacks that can push enemies into each other. And when you push an enemy into another enemy, when you attack that square, you hit all the enemies in that square. So conceivably, if you have a party that's leveled up enough and knows enough attacks, you can funnel all of your enemies into one spot and do massive amounts of damage to all of them. And here's the really cool thing. Not only can you do that, but you also have the ability to fill this overdrive meter, for lack of a better word, where your character can use like a super powerful attack. Now, if you manage to funnel, if there's like 4 or 5 characters, and you manage to funnel all of them into a small area and use your overdrive attack, you can do massive amounts of damage to one enemy. And I love it. It is so awesome. So you have that dynamic type of Chrono Trigger-esque vibe. They're even dual and triple attacks, kind of like in the vein of Chrono Trigger. Quad attacks. It's basically, like I said, it's the Chrono Trigger sequel we never got. Now, I could go further into the storyline of the game, but it's a game, I don't want to ruin the storyline for you, because, it has twists and turns, and, you really feel it. So, with that being said, it's time to move on to the music of this game. After the cut. So, the music of this game is pretty damn good. I have the storyline. I have the OST somewhere in my house because I bought the collector's edition. I can't find it right now, and I did not rip it onto my portable hard drive, so I can't really give you any of the soundtrack. I might be able to find it and add it to this later if I can remember. But it's really good soundtrack, and I think that more people should listen to these types of orchestrated MIDI soundtrack systems in games like this. The soundtrack of this game essentially shows that Atlas has a firm grasp of the importance of music in their games, which an RPG, an epic soundtrack, helps. Because, I mean, you're going to be logging 30, 40, 50 hours into a game. Why do you want to listen to crap music while you're doing it? So, soundtrack's pretty damn good. We'll move on to my overall thoughts after the cut. Okay then, so this is our final section, my overall thoughts. The graphics of this game are fairly decent, especially for it to be on the 3DS. Well, I played it on my 3DS. For it to be on the DS. It's a very good game. The graphics are fairly decent. It's a mix between a semi-3D background combined with hand-drawn sprite graphics of your characters, and it works. It really does work. The game could have been easily put on the PS2 back in the day. It has some of the best graphics I've seen on a DS RPG of the time. It's very, 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 very good. I would have to say that overall, get this game if you can. Now, the game is relatively expensive nowadays. I believe if you go on Amazon, you might be able to find it for... Here, I'm going to look it up for you guys right now on Amazon.com. Because that's where I got my copy, so I don't know where you guys would find it. Radiant Historia. Oh, well shoot. You can find this game for $20, for a little over $20. So get it. It's a good price. I mean, you can't beat that. It's a damn good game. It's totally worth having. And I would advise you to go and get your hands on the best damn Chrono Trigger sequel we never got. And with that, this is the end of this RPG video. Stay tuned for another RPG video dropping tomorrow where I'll be talking about one of my favorite tabletop RPG moments of all time. So with that, I bid you adieu.